Terry, I would like to start with congratulating you for the new role as MD of Cummins Southern Africa. Welcome to Southern Africa. It's really a pleasure to be working with you moving forward.
Thank you. Thank
Terry,
you so much.
Just to start with, as you come into this new role, what are your immediate goals? What are you targeting to do?
Yeah. So thank you. That's a great question. Really, my immediate goal was to quickly understand the landscape,
Yeah.
the environment. Our team here, kind of get familiar with the team, and I'm very fortunate to have inherited from my predecessors a really world-class team. So as you could appreciate today, some of them were here, not all, but yeah, I'm very. My immediate step was to evaluate the environment, the team. I also went around to meet some of our key customers, but also to just understand the country, the regulatory framework and how the country works. So humbly to take a step back and quickly understand what the dynamic is internally in our company, but also externally with our other stakeholders, customers, suppliers, and then the regulations.
Yeah. You are in charge of the distribution side of the business, and you're coming in at a time when aftermarket is a key focus moving forward. If you look at the mining sector at this point in time, I think the business dynamics are changing. When businesses are in dire straits, people look at extending the life cycles of their equipment.
Exactly.
So that's where your business, like the Remain Center coming and stuff like that. Just how important is distribution for Cummins moving forward?
Oh, absolutely. Distribution is fundamental for Cummins. In reality, you may know that we really build these heavy engines, these big engines for our customer for long durations of time. And the only reason this engine can perform over the expected duration and beyond is if there is a good aftermarket support. So that's really where we come in play. We build and sell a solid and reliable product, but in the ground, when this product is operating, this reliability in this performance is evidenced and supported by a good aftermarket system. This is capable technicians able to jump in and fix it. This is parts availability in timely manner. This is easy flow of processes and everything that the customer needs to optimize the operation of their engines. So aftermarket is really critical. In fact, our distribution business is one of the largest business unit, global business unit within Cummins. It is the second largest entity within Cummins, global business unit within Cummins. So just to say how important this is, not just here, but globally for us.
Yeah. You mentioned earlier on that you use the South African base as the hub to support the rest of Southern Africa. But you also mentioned earlier on that you also look after the components part of the business. Just how big is the footprint to support those customers who are in need of critical components that might not necessarily be able to be supported from South Africa? Just how big is your footprint into the rest of Southern Africa?
Yeah, so in Southern Africa, we're in charge of about 14 countries.
Yeah.
These countries are at various levels of maturity, I would say, infrastructure development, and even business density.
Yeah.
So the way we went about it is choose a hub, where we are based, which is in Johannesburg, in South Africa. And from this hub, initially we would support, entity across the border. But also, remember, there is growth coming around in these places. And with growth and increased business density, it becomes necessary for us to really have local setup, entities that are part of our cluster, but where we have full capability to develop both sales, after sales, administration, and support. Yeah. So really that is how we've gone about it. And we may not be the only ones doing that. It may just be the common sense approach to this. The ultimate goal for us is to be able to be wherever our customers are and deliver the committed support. So we don't care if a mine is in the northern Mozambique in Tet, or if it's in the desert of Namibia. Whenever a Cummins powered equipment wind there, we need to be able to be there to support. So we organize ourselves to have the optimum setup to support the customer wherever they are. So in Southern Africa, I think compared to maybe even the rest of the sub-Saharan Africa portion, I think we have good density. We have also decent experience. I mean, this region is been thriving on mining for several decades, if not century. So we are. It was obvious for us to have an anchor point here, a base from where to organize support for the entire region.
Speaking of the anchor point, I think South Africa will also be an anchor point for many of the original equipment manufacturers you support in terms of engines.
Correct.
Like the likes of Liebherr and stuff. Just how important is that business for you, the OEM business?
Yes, and thank you. Our model is we go to market in partnership with our OEMs, because we have made a strategic decision to build the independent engine manufacturer.
Yeah.
So in most mines, for instance, the miner don't buy, an equipment and then buy the engine to fit them together. They buy an equipment fitted with our engine. So we work in close partnership with our equipment manufacturer to design engines that meet the specification in which their equipment will operate.
Yeah.
So we design and develop this engine based on the operating spec that the OEM has designed the equipment to be working in. Now that is on the front end. Now downstream, where the equipment has been purchased by a miner, say Anglo, and is operating in the mine, we now have to come and support this customer in the environment where they are. So that means we partner with the OEM upstream and downstream, because the OEM is always on the mine supporting the equipment. But the engine being a critical component of the equipment, they need Cummins to be in there to provide support. Engine may be probably about 10% of the price of a new equipment sometime, but it could be responsible of 30% of the operation, the criticality of the operation. So that makes Cummins really a key partner in the mine to both the OEM and the mining company. So that's how we work with our OEM. It's really partnership. It's not transactional sell. We do partner with them to provide a solution across the board.
Yeah, interesting. While we are still on the criticality of the engine for the equipment owner, one of the decisions Cummins took was to establish the engine remanufacturing center. Just what is the state of that facility? I remember the last time I came to Cummins, you were busy with the refurbishment of the facility to extend it because of the demand of that service.
Yeah, so this is a strategic investment for us. So we believe, as I said earlier, we're in Africa for the long run. So we are not here just to look and see and eventually run away if it's tough. And that is a statement, we're putting our money where our mouth is. So we're here for the long run. We're investing in those world-class capability here because we believe that the business is going to be here for the long term. Now, the equipment upfit, the upgrade you've seen is because of also something I referred to earlier. You need to deal with the day-to-day business while preparing for the big fight of the future. So we are dealing today. We have customers that ship engine in our facility for rebuild today. Now, while we can rebuild and improve the rebuild quality today, we know that this demand is going to go increasing, and we want to put here in Johannesburg that master rebuild center. So this is in our investment plan. We're going to have shovel on the ground by next year, and this is also going to send the right signal to our customer and stakeholder around the region.
Just looking through your CV, you have got a very good track record of developing and managing talent. And you are coming at a time when skills shortage is one of the critical setbacks of the business you operate in. What are some of the things you intend doing in terms of skills development moving forward?
Yeah, no, this is a really good one, Munesu. I think that it's really, Africa is not the only part of the world that has gone through this challenge. I think we just need to be willing,
Yeah.
and we need to act. So we believe in talent, not just talent acquisition, but talent development. We're building pipeline of talent. It takes us about 4.5 years to groom a technician to the point where he is ripe enough to face a customer in a manner that is reliable and be able to deliver. So we patiently build that because we know how critical that is. If we were thinking that we're coming to Africa because we will find readily capable people, I don't think we would have come. So the demand for critical talent, qualified talent, it's a big demand in Africa. Everyone wants this critical talent. So we also want to contribute to increasing the output of this critical talent. And this is true for maybe technicians as it is true for leaders and highly world-class managers. So I don't believe Africa is particularly poor in that. I think the potential is huge. I think there are a lot of good people here. I think we need to empower people too. We sometimes need to empower people, allow them to operate, make mistakes, learn from their mistake, and then grow. So I do not know any senior leader anywhere who will tell you they only had successes. You fall a few times along the way, and you need a hand. You need to be given a chance to be bet upon. So that's what we will do. That's what we are doing. So we understand. Yes, we see that there is some skill shortage in some particular trade, but we are also very encouraged with the enthusiasm we see in the youth. We are also encouraged by the really competence we see in the people that we have. We need to figure a way to multiplicate that, but most importantly, empower people and give them the opportunity to acquire the right leadership experience.
Yeah. Earlier on, you spoke about the strategic decision taken by Cummins to merge the Africa and the Middle East business. Just how important is that decision?
This is big. I mean, this is big, and it's good for our employee. It's good for our customer. It's good for our business. I believe we are in a company that is very we are dynamic. Yeah. We meet our challenges and we try to bring our best. So I think we have some significant capability in the Middle East that were developed mostly because of the specific demand of the markets there, and we have some very significant capability in Africa because of the primary demand of this market. Yeah, so merging these two regions really, it's going to give us a lot of advantage in scale, but also give our employee more opportunity for growth. We're going to see people moving from parts of Africa to the Middle East for new and growth opportunity and vice versa. And I think that's good for the business, that's good for the company, and good for our customer.
Yeah. You mentioned opportunity. Obviously, you are coming at a time, you mentioned that Southern Africa, I think the economy is mostly battered by mining, which is in dire straits. But problems also translate into opportunities.
Absolutely.
What sort of opportunities do you see in this market moving forward? Where do you think there is untapped potential?
Well, Southern Africa is not immune to the infrastructure development gap that we have seen in other parts of the developing world of Africa. So there are lots of opportunity infrastructure projects around Southern Africa, and I'm talking Southern Africa here. So there are a lot of opportunity there for us, in places like Zambia, in places like I would say Zimbabwe. There are a lot of opportunities for us to be part of it. So when you talk power, the power gap, Africa is still one of the few parts of the world where the gap between the power production and the energy demand is widening, through 2035. So what that means is we have a role to play in filling this gap, in helping government accompanying them while they're planning to build major power projects, which can take many years, to help fill that demand, with power generation solution. So there is opportunity for us, quite frankly. True, mining is down, but it's not off. So there is mineral extraction going on. Maybe certain projects, certain greenfield projects are being delayed, but it doesn't mean extraction has ceased. Commodity price has this funny way to go up and down, and right now we know that on average they are down.
Yeah.
But there is activity going on. What happened in this time is cost optimization across the board. We just need to prepare ourselves to adapt quickly in this kind of time.
Yeah.
But we cannot lower the standard, or we cannot react any slower in this time to the demand of our customer than in big times. So even as, yes, there is some sort of commodity price stagnation or downward trend, the activity continues because the overall economy in Africa and even in Southern Africa region is extraction based, not so much transformation, extraction based, and we have to be there. We have a room to play there even in these tough times.
Yeah. Just to round off, just give me your outlook of the business moving forward. Say, how do you see 2017 turning out?
I'm very optimistic, so a part of it maybe is being naive, but it's maybe my nature, but also the real other part of it is of what I see.
Yeah.
I see this into people, I see this into colleagues, friends who work for other entities, so the outlook is really good. And we are really very, very ambitious around here. Our stated ambition is to grow 17% year over year over the next several years. And we out there seeing signs that we have a role to play in many things. We have customers we're talking to, in different across the spectrum of the product we play in. So I don't know if there is the perception maybe that things are not good, and maybe the reality may be it. But this is just conjunctural. This is not permanent.
Yeah.
So our view is long term, and over the long term, at least the medium to long term, we are investing because we see opportunity, to be here and capture. So we are very happy. We are very optimistic, and we see that growth materializing concretely for us.
Yeah, that's great. I think speaking of ambition, I think one of the things Cummins did recently in terms of investment to show that ambition was that strategic investment into the RDC.
Absolutely.
How is that changing the business scenario?
Oh yeah, big time. This is big deal for us. I mean, just you see, and I'm glad you're bringing this up because you were there. So and I appreciate that also. So one of the challenges of doing business in Africa, it's also logistic, right? So we do manufacture some of these components, some of these products in really faraway places, and we need to hold them into the continent and dispatch them, across the various points where our customers reside. So there is a lot of variability in this process and things that are out of our control if we don't have infrastructure like the RDC. But with the RDC, we eliminate a significant variability because we bring the product in, we control our inventory, we control the lead time, and we bring them in a place that is strategically located to reach all the regional area where our customer may be. So what our customer are feeling is a rapid response, a more accurate response and a rapid response, which for them it's a saving in logistic costs, it's a savings in time, and equipment downtime, and go straight to their bottom line. And for us, it's really more customer appreciation and a guaranteed repeat business. So this is all very, very well sound. And that investment, as you mentioned, was key. It's part of that grand strategy that we're sending the signal in the market that we're here for the long run.
Yeah.
It fits very well with our other infrastructure to come.
Yeah. Thanks, Terry, for your time. We really appreciate it. Thanks for preempting some of the things you are looking forward to. all the best, and we'll be speaking to each other more often.
You're very welcome, Nelson. Thank you, and thank you to you and your team for being part of our day. We really appreciate, and we're looking forward to having you there in the near future.
Thank you.